You are entering the bonus stage, a podcast produced in association with oceanofbees.com, with your host Marauder
and Phoenix923,
a podcast for all gamers,
console and PC alike.
Welcome to Bonus Stage.
Welcome to the bonus stage, a podcast produced in association with oceanofbees.com. As always, I'm your host Marauder,
And I'm Phoenix923.
and this is a very special episode because it's December, the middle of December to be more precise, and that means
It's cold
Christmas
out.
is. It's cold, but it's not snowing yet.
Hey, I'll take that.
Really? Well, that's true. I don't really like the snow. I don't really mind the weather. But anyway, that means that Christmas is right around the corner, actually 2 weeks from now. Give or take a day or two.
Woohoo!
Yay. Anyway. So I thought it'd be fun if we jump right into this and then get to some, instead of having a news and topic segment, well, we have a topic segment, but the topic segment would be Christmas memories, and I thought that'd be kind of fun and appropriate for the festive season, yes. Aw, indeed. Anyway, so first things first, we're going to check out what is new on oceanofbees.com. So I'm going to go right over there. There's not much updating. Apparently, a lot of people on the site are busy, which is understandable given the holiday season. So we actually only have 2 new updates from the last time we recorded this. For new videos, we have Marauder's Retro Adventure Golden Axe, which is where I review the Genesis game Golden Axe. That was a review that I'm very happy with. It's a review that I think, from concept to execution, went very smoothly.
Plus, it's positive.
Yes, plus it's a very good game, which helps. The problem I was having before was I didn't really like the games I was reviewing, but I'm not really a negative person.
Well, they were just random ones that you picked off a store shelf. Mostly.
Yeah, like Awesome Possum, I just bought at a convention. Trampoline Terror, I think I just grabbed off a shelf at a play and trade. But, you know, Golden Axe is a more well-known one and one of my childhood favorites, so I was very happy I could actually review that. But I'm very proud with how that came out. Very happy with that one overall. It's a lot less linear than all the other reviews. I think it has a better structure overall. But anyway.
Enough ego inflating, let's get on.
Yes, my ego needs to be bigger. No, but let's see, the only other update is a new blog written by yours truly for the movie 007 Skyfall. Yes. Shut up. I can't help it if I'm the only person on oceanofbees.com updating anything right now. I'm bringing it up because it's important. So yes, if anybody wants to know my thoughts on the new James Bond movie, go ahead and check that out. So that is everything that is new on oceanofbees.com. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to the topics and news segment, which is, of course, Christmas, because it is December and cold, and not snowing yet, which is strange. So, yeah, I just thought we'd kind of reminisce a little bit about some of our favorite Christmas memories, and yeah, hopefully that'll be entertaining in some way. But Phoenix, if you want to go ahead and yeah, right. But Phoenix, if you want to go ahead and start, if you want to, that is.
Me first? Alright.
Sure, why not?
Why not? Really, the only memorable Christmases that I could pretty much recount is anyone where I got a console. It was just something. Especially, I think it was when the PlayStation 2 came out. Man, it pretty much, since we really can't get that much in terms of money, you know, I think we basically split up our the amount of money we can spend, or my parents could spend on us for Christmas, all for just that console. And sad enough is that we didn't get any games that Christmas, but with all the Christmas money we got from the parties thereafter, we kind of bought a couple. But
so your parents bought you a console, a Super Nintendo, and didn't buy any games with it?
No, PS2.
Or excuse me, PS2. Sorry.
Like I said, we can't spend that much money because we just don't have that much money.
Well, I mean, PS2 games though, you could get. What year was this?
When the PS2 came out.
So 2001.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, games are pretty expensive. I was gonna say you could grab a couple greatest hits for $20, but I guess that's not really a possibility.
I thought we were reminiscing, not stuff in the now. Come on.
Yeah, no, I know.
But no, the first game that I played on it, because, well, at the time I was a Final Fantasy nut, was Final Fantasy X. I think.
How'd you like that one?
Well, it being the first one that was actually voice acted and I really didn't have to read a lot, that was great. But the story overall, I thought one was okay. You know, it's fantasy. The story, the linearity of the game really kind of bogged down a bit for me because there really wasn't much to explore like in the previous titles. But yeah, it was okay. Enough so where I actually bought the sequel, which was kind of worse.
You know, I remember a kid in my high school who was like in love with Final Fantasy X. He thought it was the most amazing game ever, and he talked about it constantly. And then when 10-2 came out, I asked his opinion on it, and he was like, yeah, it's okay, I guess. Oh, okay, wow.
Just basically think Charlie's Angels, because that's all they kind of turned it out to be.
Yeah, I remember seeing the commercials for it, and yeah, it looked really cheesy.
I mean, I remember, hell, I think I even wrote Square an email saying I want that game over here when they announced it. And then when I finally got it, it was all disappointing.
It wasn't what you expected.
Well,
we've had that before.
Well, you know, I knew that there wasn't going to be much in terms of new areas because it's still the same world. Pretty much explored all that in 10. You know, I was expecting that, so I really wasn't disappointed in that aspect. The thing that I was disappointed in was the fact that they kind of turned it into Charlie's Angels with Yuna trying to find out what happened to Titus and if they can get him back, which I honestly didn't care about Titus in the first place, so that kind of didn't help. But
well, it was obvious to me that they built this engine, they built this world, they did all this work, because that game is very expansive, and I'm assuming that took years to make. They were going to get some more use out of that engine, out of those textures, out of that world, you know?
Yeah.
So it was an obvious...
I mean, it was fine. I played through it, beat it once. Didn't get the super, super awesome special good ending where, you know, you get to see Titus because you have to get 100% completion to get that, which I don't care enough to. But I got enough of a good ending. Which that was also something that kind of annoyed me, was the fact of your ending was based on how much you completed the game in terms of doing everything, which was...
Yeah, that happened to me in Metroid Prime, where like you had to scan it. The ending you got in Metroid Prime was based on how much you scanned the environment, and I hated scanning the environment because it was it was a chore. Like, you bring up your scanner and there's like every other item in the room you need to scan. And some of the stuff I get, you know, you scan door locks, you scan statues to get information, like, that's okay, but it just, I think it went a little overboard. So I never actually beat that game, but I'm assuming if I did, my completion rate, I think by the time I stopped playing it was like 22%.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I basically just scanned anything and everything you had to, and then just played because I didn't care.
And I would say probably another good old Christmas I remembered was the N64. I think, when did that come out? I don't remember.
96.
Yeah. When did Ocarina of Time come out? That was the launch game with it?
No. Ocarina of Time didn't come out till I think 98.
Okay, because I'm just getting my dates right here because Because I think I got the N64 and then I got Ocarina of Time a year later. But
yeah, so you probably got it in 97.
Mm-hmm. But that was another one where everyone in the family was kind of excited. Not so much my parents, because they really don't care about games. They just know I can pause it and tell me to pause it when they need me.
Right, yeah.
But
is there a pause function? Well, then when I tell you to get down here, you pause it.
Pause it and come over here. Should have never told them there's a pause button.
Yeah. But you can't really dodge that because it's a giant red button in the middle of the controller.
Uh-huh. But no, that one we kind of went all out for. We bought the 4 controllers. We bought whatever was out at that time. I'm not as knowledgeable in that aspect as you are.
I think Mario Kart 64 was out around then.
Mm-hmm.
I know Super Mario 64. I know there was Cruisin' USA. There was Pilot Wings. There was I can't remember. I got mine a little later, so I don't recall.
And then I believe shortly after I got a PS1, which I actually got a year before the PS2s came out. But mainly the sole reason I got that was because, as I said, I was a Final Fantasy nut, so I started collecting all the other Final Fantasy games on there. 7, 8, 9.
Did you get Tactics?
No, I never got any of the other ones.
Okay. Final Fantasy Chronicles, I think it was?
No, I don't think those were out at the time.
Oh, okay.
I think those came... I think those came during the PS2.
Probably. I know one of them had Chrono Trigger on it.
Yeah. But, I keep saying I was a Final Fantasy nut. I kind of am not anymore. Just the games have become pretty lackluster since they've started going towards the whole futuristic, we're in a war type thing. Kind of wish that they would go back to the whole fantasy part of swords and soldiers and witchcraft and whatnot. Because that's what I really enjoyed about their games. I don't care if you're in some futuristic city. I know you want to make it look nice, but you can make a good, medieval game look nice too.
I'm not a huge Final Fantasy fan myself. I think the first one I ever played was 7, because I bought a PlayStation 1 off a friend of mine in high school for, stupid cheap.
Yeah.
And he didn't give me any games with it. He didn't sell me any games, but he let me borrow Final Fantasy 7. And he goes, this is a great game, gotta play this. I'm like, okay. So I'm home playing it, and it was fun. I liked it. I liked it a lot. And so I went back and started to buy up... right around that time, they were releasing Final Fantasy games on the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
So I picked up Dawn of Souls. I actually have all of the Final Fantasy games that were on Game Boy Advance.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah, I just kept buying them as they were coming out. So, I mean...
Unfortunately for me, I didn't have the money at the time those were released, and those were basically sucked up as quick as possible, and they never restocked. So, damn.
Yeah, so I have Dawn of Souls, which is 1 and 2. I have 3 on the DS, because I don't think they ever put 3 out on Game Boy Advance.
No, that was actually... 3 is the first time 3's actually been over here.
Right. Well, I have that on DS. 4, 5, and 6 I have on Game Boy Advance as well. So I have all those, and I really, really enjoyed them. You know what? Come to think of it, I don't think I've ever played Final Fantasy 3 yet on the DS. It just sits there.
It's good. I just hate the final dungeon. I'm literally stuck on the final dungeon.
Yeah, I really haven't bothered to play. Well, here's the thing. So I was a huge Final Fantasy fan. I didn't have a PS2 for a really long time. Not to get off topic here, but
I think we've been off topic for a while.
No, but the a friend of mine, Alex, Alex.
Yeah.
Was selling off his copy of Final Fantasy 13 on the Xbox for I think I paid him $15-20 for it. I don't remember. But at the time, that was a stupid good deal. So, and he told me, he's like, I can't. He goes, I just can't play this. This is terrible. That's why he sold it to me, because he just couldn't bring himself to play it anymore. And I played it for a good couple of hours, but all I remember is just being completely alienated, because, like I said, I only know up to 7.
Mm-hmm.
And 7 had a futuristic look to it in places, but then there were times when you were out and about that it looked really medieval, or at least Dark Age, with like the little huts and the and all these other things. So it had this really, I want to say, unique style to it. And so playing 13, now I have seen Final Fantasy X, I've seen 12, I've seen what they look like. Not that I've played them, but I know what they look like in terms of style. And 13, it just was really weird. And then all I remember was you had to go down hallways for like hours. They weren't hallways, they were like, you were running around, but it was a very linear thing you were standing on. And I just remember being really confused. And you were just getting to fight after fight, and the fights took forever, and then the battle music, or no, the victory music, whatever, the victory theme, wasn't the Final Fantasy victory theme everybody knows. So, yeah, which, like I said, I played all of them up till 7, except for 3, and so I know that theme, and so when that theme wasn't in there, it just alienated me more. I don't know. I still have it. It's sitting on my shelf. I might go back to it at some point, but there's better RPGs on the system like Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon that I'll probably spend more time with.
Yeah, the last Final Fantasy that I played was 12. Skipped 11 because I don't feel like paying monthly for it. And
yeah, that was another weird thing. Was 11 was online. Like if they just called it Final Fantasy Online, right?
Yeah.
And didn't call it Final Fantasy 11. I think I don't know, I'd be okay with it if they turned 13 into 11, or 12 became 11, or however that works out. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think they should have just named it Final Fantasy Online, because I think they just gave it the 11 title just to draw people in. Which, it works, I've talked to people and they say that they really enjoy Final Fantasy 11. I'm like, good, I would love to play it. Don't want to pay a monthly fee, though.
Didn't they turn 14 free to play though at this point?
No.
No, still not? Okay.
No, it was free to play while they were fixing it, as a form of apology.
Oh, okay.
As a form of apology for their buyers. But now, since they've, I guess, fixed it, it's still not as popular as 11 though. But it's back to being pay for. I think the only reason why I don't like, why I don't want to participate in pay-to-play games is because I'm not going to get... I don't know, it's just I'm not going to get the amount of time out of paying for it, I guess.
Yeah, like, assuming it's like $10 a month, you could take that $10 and go buy a game on another system.
Mm-hmm.
And have more fun with that and feel like you got your $10 worth wear. Especially if you don't have time. I mean, you have so many games. I know you do, and I do as well. That you don't have as much time to play them as you would like. So the idea of paying for time you're not sitting there, is really hard to stomach. I think that's why free to play is so popular. Is because like if you find yourself playing it a lot, then I could justify going like, okay, yeah, I will totally buy that item, or I will totally buy this creature, or whatever.
Yeah.
But if I'm just paying $10 a month, and let's say for a month I don't play it, I don't get around to it.
Let's say for a month you only get maybe 2 or 3 hours in,
Yeah, I don't really feel that was worth my time, when I can go out and buy Blue Dragon on the 360, which is $9 on Amazon right now, and is a full-fledged RPG, and I get my time out of it. But that's just me. But anyway, so any other memorable Christmases for you?
Well, just one thing I kind of find funny to mention, in terms of handhelds, whenever anyone in the family gets handhelds, mostly my younger brother and me, is that my younger brother would generally get the first generation of it. Then the next year I would get the newer generation of it, like the he got the Game Boy Pocket, I got the Game Boy Color. Then he got the Game Boy Advance, I got the Game Boy Advance SP, and he got the DS Fat, and I got the DS Lite, and I just always found that pretty hilarious. Just in terms of, this is how it's always been in terms of our family getting handhelds.
Yeah, I always just upgraded whenever the new one came out, because if it was worth it. Sometimes I didn't see the point. Like, with the DSi XL, I didn't see the point of that, or the 3DS XL, I don't see the point of that over what I currently have already.
Bigger screens, come on, why wouldn't you want to buy it?
Right. But I mean, at the time, going from like the Game Boy Pocket to the Game Boy Color was like a huge leap. It was in color. Like, the ability to play all your games in some sort of color was something. And then the Game Boy Advance was just blew my mind. And I think I have not every iteration of the Game Boy Advance, but I have quite a few Game Boy Advance systems.
I don't think you have the Game Boy or Game Boy Mini, whatever that.
No,
Micro,
I've been looking for a Game Boy Micro, but they're not too expensive because they're not really sought after right now. But I still don't want to spend $50 on a console that I already kind of have in the SP.
Multiple iterations of.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I would want is if I could get the Game Boy Advance SP that has the LCD screen.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can get one of those, I'd be really, really happy with it. Because I hear that it looks amazing. On some videos on YouTube that I've watched, the screen on those look amazing. But the problem is, it's really hard to tell if you're buying one secondhand, especially online, if it is that particular model.
Yeah. Because
the only way to distinguish the two is the box that it came in said it had a brighter screen. that and the model number is 101 instead of 100. So, but if you're just looking at a flat picture of it open,
yeah, you're never gonna know.
Yeah, I heard you can also tell by the way the screen looks in the photo, but I don't trust myself enough to, buy one and then hope I'm right.
Is this a slightly more darker shade of gray, like they said, or not?
Yeah. Yeah, because they said, like, the original SP has, like, a gray screen, and the new one, the one with the better screen, has, like, a black screen, a little bit darker screen. I don't know. But we're getting off topic again. But
that's always with us. Come on.
Yeah.
It's fun.
But no, handhelds are ridiculously fun. I'm so glad they exist. I really am. I don't know what I would do with myself on long road trips if I didn't have something to play. It would drive me nuts.
I spy with my little eye something that moves. A car. You win. Yay.
Yeah. Instead, I'm over here playing Kirby's Dream Land. Go away. I remember we took this trip, my family and I, to South Carolina, I think it was.
Detour.
Well, yeah, but... And we took my grandparents, and I love my grandparents, but my grandma kept trying to play these games in the car, and I never participated in any of them because I had my Game Boy, and I was going to play my Game Boy and just stay quiet in the back of the car. And so she always tried to get me to join in on these, on whatever it was she was trying to play. And I was sitting there going, like, "That's great, Grandma. I'm kind of in the middle of something here. I'm trying to save Dreamland. I'll get back to you on that." But no, the other thing that kind of sucked was on road trips, people would like ask to borrow my Game Boy. They'd be like, "Hey, can I play Tetris just for a minute?" Yeah, I guess. 3 hours go by, they're still playing freaking Tetris. And,
I don't blame them.
You're right, yeah, exactly. But then I sit back there with nothing, which is why I was really glad when I got a Game Boy Color, because I used to bring my original Game Boy with me, and my Game Boy Color, because then if people asked to play anything, I always handed them the old brick Game Boy.
Yep.
Like, here, play it on this. No, it works. Well, can't I play it on that one? No, I'm playing this. Go away.
Mine.
I'm playing Pokemon right now, damn it. I gotta level my Pikachu. Go away. But anyway.
Guess we can go to your side of the whole Christmas stuff.
Well, Christmas, I kind of have the same thing that you had where I have a lot of sisters, but I'm the only boy in my family, I guess. So, Christmas was always really cool for me because anything I got that was a big gift, like a game console, was mine and mine alone. But the downside to that was I had to wait till Christmas to get anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
For my birthday, I would never get a Game Boy. I would never get a Super Nintendo or something. I always had to wait for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the Christmas I got my first system. My older sister had a Nintendo, an NES. And I loved that thing to death. But the problem was, it was in her bedroom. So if she was at work or if she was at school, I had to wait until she got home in order for her to tell me, no, you can't play that right now, I'm busy. And so... I know, it really sucked. So my solution was, of course, get my own system. Well, she traded the NES in and got a Sega Genesis. And again, I adored the Sega Genesis. So much so that I wanted one for myself, because I was like, well, if I have my own, I can borrow all her games and play them in my room. And so I begged my parents, I want a Genesis. I want a Sega Genesis. It looks so amazing. It looks so awesome. And this was 1996. So, we always got systems a little bit behind everyone else, I guess.
Yeah, same here.
But, so come Christmas, and I knew of the Super Nintendo. I knew what it was, and I enjoyed it. I had friends of mine who had it, and I'd go over and play it, and it was fun. But it wasn't the Genesis, I wanted a Genesis really bad. So come Christmas, I unwrapped this big box, and it was a Super Nintendo Killer Instinct bundle, system, everything, with the game, the CD, and I flipped. I was so happy, because even though it's not a Sega Genesis, it's still a game system that was mine. Like, finally mine, I could have it,
Yep.
It was mine, and I flipped. And my mom's logic was, she said, well, because your sister has the Genesis, you have the Nintendo, and then you guys can play everything. If you go to Blockbuster, you guys can play everything. And I was so happy, but the problem, there was a slight issue. My mom got me this controller. It was called the SN Pro Pad, to go with the system as a second controller.
Turbo!
Right, and it has all the turbo switches and the slow-mo switches and all that stuff on it. And I still have that controller to this day. It's an amazing controller. But, so I go up and I hook it up to my TV, and I plug in the game, and I turn it on. I plug the special SN Pro Pad controller in. I'm going to play my game, and the system starts flipping out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't understand. So I, took the game out and put it back in. The system was flipping out. Like, I didn't understand it. So I said to my mom, I don't know, something's wrong. So she comes up and looks at it, and she goes, well, try to swap controllers. And so I plugged the regular controller in one and the SN Pro Pad in two, and it was still flipping out. I'm like, I don't understand. Something's wrong with the system. So we had to wait till after Christmas to go back to, I think she bought it at Meijer. We had to go to the Alpine Meijer to exchange it. So we swapped it out for the exact same box, and we took it back home, and I plugged it in, and it was flipping out again. And I'm like, I don't understand what the heck's going on. And suddenly, something in my brain went off, and I went, oh, right, there's a slow-mo switch on the back of this controller. I flipped it over to, I guess, off, and then everything was fine. And I was amazed. All that for nothing. But the weird thing was, I remember that night, my mom came in and she was watching me play Killer Instinct, and for anyone who knows, that game is quite bloody. I wouldn't say bloody, but it was, quite violent. And my mom's kind of a little strange. She comes in and she sits down and watches me play it. I was playing as Saberwolf, the wolf guy, and she goes, "Oh, that looks really cool." And then I would claw a guy's face off. She'd go, "Oh, that's really neat. How'd you do that?" I don't know. I got the manual open, all the moves, trying to figure everything out. So much fun. And I remember the very next day after that, we went to Blockbuster, and I was allowed to rent anything I wanted. So I rented Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems. And for anyone who's played this game, it's kind of like... It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up. It's a one-player game where you can play as any one of 5 superheroes. Spider-Man, Wolverine, the Hulk, Captain America, and... I can't remember the 5th guy. I know there's 5, though. So, as I'm playing this game...
Wasn't it Cyclops?
No, it wasn't Cyclops. It was Wolverine, Spider-Man, Iron Man. That's what it was. Iron Man, Captain America, and the Hulk. So, I was playing that, and I loved it. Now, the game is terrible. Like, if you were to play it today, the game is not that good. But I didn't care because, I was just so excited to have another game to play. And I bought it. I remember when Blockbuster was getting rid of all their Super Nintendo games, I actually went in and bought that game. And I still have it in the Blockbuster case and everything, with all the instructions printed on the back. It's really, really cheesy, but I keep it around just because it's fun. But no, that was a great Christmas. I remember that Christmas just being amazing. Let's see. The only other one I can remember that I really, really liked. When did Lord of the Rings 2 Towers come into theaters?
I don't know.
Okay, it was like 2000, probably 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
I remember that DVDs were like a huge deal. Like, getting a DVD player was like a big deal, right?
Yep.
And so, that's what I wanted for Christmas. I wanted a DVD player. I had a Nintendo GameCube that I got for Christmas the year before. And I wanted a DVD player, because the GameCube didn't play DVDs, so...
Oh, Nintendo.
That's fine, I love the GameCube, I don't care.
No, I love it too. The GameCube's awesome.
The GameCube's amazing. But I wanted a DVD player so I could play all my DVDs in my room, and I didn't have to go into the living room to play them. And this was at a time when DVD players were stupid expensive. Like, you could spend easily $150 on a DVD player. And my mom was like, yeah, well, maybe, hemming and hawing about it. I remember I bought gifts for all my friends in the form of giant bags of popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going with a bunch of friends to see the 2 Towers Lord of the Rings movie at the local theater. And so I was walking out with my friend Matt at the time, and I said to him, I was like, okay, well, I got your present in the car. I'll give it to you now, because it was just a little bit before Christmas. And I went over to the car, my mom pulls up, and I go to open the trunk, and she goes, don't open the trunk, don't open the trunk! And I open the trunk anyway, and sitting there in the trunk of the car was an original Microsoft Xbox system. And I flipped. So I give my friend the bag of popcorn. I'm like, oh my god, I'm getting an Xbox. I'm getting an Xbox. I'm getting an Xbox. I couldn't shut up. I'm like, I'm getting an Xbox. I'm getting an Xbox. I'm getting an Xbox. And so my mom was, of course, just pissed, right?
Yep.
And I was like, well, why did you put the popcorn in the trunk of the car with the Xbox if you didn't want me to open the trunk of the car to give my friend the popcorn? Whatever. So come Christmas, she got me the DVD remote.
Mm-hmm.
That comes with that goes along with the Xbox to enable DVD playback. I always thought that was really cheating. Because my cousin had a PS2, and I remember you could play DVDs with just the controller.
Yep.
But with the Xbox, no, you needed the DVD playback kit with the controller. But I didn't care. It was great. And I just remember when I got it, it came with Jet Set Radio Future and Sega GT 2002. And it blew my mind. I mean, I love the GameCube and all, but the Xbox was something entirely different. all the games, I didn't care what it was. To this day, the Xbox is probably my favorite system of that whole generation.
I had to say that.
Yeah, well, each generation I have my favorite, but in that generation, PS2, GameCube, Xbox was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of really great games on it. But the weird thing was, I remembered I had this 13-inch TV that was a VCR TV combo, and it had an issue playing DVDs. It had like the standard AV input on it, so I hooked my Xbox up to it that way, and it had this problem where it would send the DVD signal through the VCR first before it gets to the TV.
Huh.
And so the picture on certain DVDs, I never had a problem playing Warner Brothers DVDs, if that made any sense. So I could watch The Matrix, I could watch, anything from Warner Brothers.
Of course.
Without a problem, right.
Of course.
But everything else did this thing where it would go really, really dark, and then get really, really bright, and then get really, really dark, and fluctuate like that every single time I tried to watch a movie on it. Which, of course, 6 months later, I was like, screw this, and I went and bought a TV. But, And also, since it was a 13-inch screen, it would cut off the corners. So I'd be playing, like, the original Halo, and I couldn't see my health bar.
Ouch.
Which was always a problem. Or if I was playing a fighting game, I couldn't see the life bars on the characters. It was kind of a pain. But, no, the original Xbox that year, I just thought the Xbox was absolutely amazing. And I even went out and bought the original Duke controller for it, just to see what it was like. Because my friend Matt had an Xbox, and I would play it at his house, and I always really, really liked that system. But I preferred the big, giant Duke controller over the Controller S for a lot of games.
Because you have big hands?
Yeah, I have a bigger hands than a lot of other people, which is why I prefer big controllers like the Dreamcast or the Xbox, or even the Atari Jaguar isn't uncomfortable for me. But which is probably why I like the Sega Genesis controller so much, because it's a big controller that fits my hand really well. And why I don't really care for like the Super Nintendo controller, which is really tiny and dog bone shaped. But anyway, yeah, that's another year that I always remember, because I got my DVD player and I got an Xbox, and that's what actually made me a fan of Sega again. It was because playing games like Gun Valkyrie, playing games like Panzer Dragoon Orta, Shenmue 2, Jet Set Radio Future, did I say that? Sega GT 2002. I mean, I'm not a big racing fan, but I loved Sega GT 2002 for some reason.
That's kind of the same reason why I love Mario Tennis games, except for the new one.
No, I know we've talked about this, but I bought that Mario Tennis Open for 3DS, and I don't like it. I just don't. It's just awful. There's almost no single player to speak of. The only thing you do in it is to play in tournaments to get more gear, to play in tournaments to get more gear, to go online and play with people, which is fine. But, I like to play alone a lot. So, I don't know. I might trade that in for something else later down the road. I know. I never take anything. You know me. I never take anything to GameStop, ever. I think I've traded into GameStop twice in my entire lifetime. And I don't see myself ever playing it again. Like, a lot of the games I just have lying around, I can just say to myself, well, yeah, I can see myself picking that up, a little bit later.
Yep.
But Mario Tennis Open is just, it's not a terrible game. It's there's nothing technically wrong with it from a game making point of view, except for the fact that it lacks any sort of compelling single player mode. So,
and that's why I like the other ones. Well, the other handheld ones, I didn't particularly like the N64 Mario Tennis just because it didn't have a single player.
Yeah, but on the 64, the whole point of that was to get people together and play it.
Yeah, that's what made it fun.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Mario Tennis on 64. Amazing game. But, most of the fun of that was to play with other people But on a handheld, it's a little different because you gotta find somebody who has a 3DS. Like, it's not so much like your friends come over and you go, hey, let's go play Mario Tennis on the 64 downstairs. Here's a controller. Yeah. And you just sit and play it. It's you gotta find somebody who, 1, has a 3DS, 2, still has battery in said 3DS, 3, has time to sit down, configure the Wi-Fi, hook up a game. You know, it's a lot less complicated on a console.
Plug it in controller and play.
Yeah, plug in controller, select 2 players, go. But
yeah, didn't we try the single card version of that?
Yeah, we did. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah, it was just kind of limiting. Did it even limit you into what you could select too?
Well, yeah, but that's because I didn't unlock anything at that point, because I literally just opened it, popped it in my 3DS, and we tried out the Wi-Fi right away.
Right.
But see, I don't know. So, yeah, I might trade that in. I'm still debating, because I might go back and play a little bit, but I just don't see it happening too much. But no, anyway. So, yes, the Christmases where I got my Super Nintendo and the Christmases where I got my original Xbox are some of my just most memorable. It seems like every Christmas I would get some sort of game system.
Yeah.
Whether it be the DS, the Game Boy Advance, the PlayStation 2, that kind of thing. The GameCube especially. The GameCube was it's not very memorable because I got it on launch day. Like, my mom and I went out to Target and I picked it out, she got one game for me, which was Smash Brothers. Had to get Smash Brothers.
Just had to.
No question in my mind I was getting Smash Brothers.
Yep.
And I remember I spent the next couple of weeks before Christmas trying to find a second controller, which was stupid hard to find, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got a second controller and everything and hooked it all up, and I went out and bought Star Wars Rogue Squadron for it, and I loved it. I loved the GameCube so much. But it just doesn't have the same kind of, I just didn't get the same feeling as when I got the Super Nintendo or the Xbox, because I wasn't expecting it. I think that's part of the reason.
Yeah.
Where because I went and picked it out weeks before Christmas and picked out the games, picked out all the stuff I needed. And just to let you know, at this point, I still had all my older systems hooked up to my TV. So my 64, my Super Nintendo,
all daisy chained together.
Yeah, we're still all plugged into my TV. And I remember that year I also got a little Switch box that had 4 little buttons on it that you could label and swap between. So I had all my systems hooked up at once, and I could play whatever I wanted. And it was great. But the original Xbox and the Super Nintendo really, really stuck out to me. Especially the Super Nintendo, because that was my first system. Because before that, I would only be able to play games when, 1, I was at a hospital and they happened to have a playroom, or 2, my sister was actually home and let me play her Sega Genesis. Well, of course, I'd sneak into her room and take her controllers and play the games anyway, but,
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt that I have my own now, so. And I must admit, as much of a Sega fan as I am, and I really am a diehard Sega fan now, you gotta love the Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Strange thing was, people talk about the 16-bit console wars and Sega versus Nintendo. I never really saw any of that.
No, me neither.
Like, my sister had a Sega, I had a Super Nintendo, and I played, so on one hand I got to play Super Mario World, Super Metroid, what were some other really great games? Killer Instinct was great, Street Fighter was great, but on the Genesis side I still got to play Sonic and Golden Axe and Echo the Dolphin, and so I didn't really have a preference overall. I preferred the Genesis just because I thought it looked better. I never really liked the way the Super Nintendo looked, even as a kid. I just thought it looked a little boxy, whereas the Genesis, she had the Model 1, my sister did. That
high definition.
Really nice, yes, and it had the really nice curves to it and everything.
Uh-huh.
And it just looked more advanced. Oh, Sonic Spinball. Freaking love Sonic Spinball. But, so I never really got all that bickering back and forth like some people supposedly claim was happening. not that I don't admit it was happening, I just never noticed any of it. I was lucky enough to be in a household that had both, and I was able to play both pretty much whenever I wanted to, so...
Yeah, unlike you, I just had a Super Nintendo, so I just like Super Nintendo stuff. I never really got to play any Genesis stuff other than whatever was in my local McDonald's when they had that set up.
Oh yeah, that's right. They had that one area with like the 4 little seats.
Yep.
And they had the plexiglass in front of the monitors and little Sega controllers that were just sitting there.
Yep.
And you could play. I remember NBA Jam was pretty popular at that little setup. I thought that was pretty cool.
I remember playing Vector Man.
Oh man, Vector Man. See, I got the Super Nintendo late, and the Sega Genesis, was kind of trailing off, but you could still go into stores and buy the games, I remember.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I remember one Christmas I got to go into a Meyer store, I think it was the Alpine Meyer again, and pick out a game, and I picked out The World Is Not Enough.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I picked up a copy of Super Return of the Jedi for Super Nintendo, because they had it marked for like $5 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And... so yeah, you could still go in there and find, the older cartridge games for pretty cheap. So I don't really feel like I missed out on anything game-wise. I think I played most of the classics. I never really was into RPGs as a kid, mainly because I didn't have the attention span for it.
Come here, devote 15 hours of your life.
Yeah, it's like... I don't want... Well, Mario goes this way, and you jump and you hit things, and it's a fun game.
Keep moving to the right.
Right, so like games like Super Mario RPG, Final Fantasy III, that kind of thing on Super Nintendo just kind of flew over my head. But, I played Donkey Kong Country, and I played just a whole bunch of stuff on Super Nintendo. Gun Force, which was a terrible game. And then, of course, I had friends and I had neighbors that had a Genesis, so it wasn't like I was ever without knowledge of the systems. I remember when I got my Genesis, though, I bought it off of my neighbor at a garage sale.
Yeah.
And I went out to Funko Land, when Funko Land still existed.
Oh boy.
And I was mowing lawns that summer, so I could... Well, that's what I spent my money on, was buying that Sega Genesis. I think I spent like $20 on the system with a couple of games, and I went to Funko Land and I bought 2 games, and I will always remember these 2 games. One was Sonic and Knuckles, the little combo cart, and mainly because I had never seen it before. Like, it was just sitting in a little plastic bag, like up on a peg on the wall. I had never seen anything like it. The cartridge, you've seen the cartridge for that game.
Yeah.
Just looked completely off.
You're just like, what the... Why does that have a hinge on the top of it?
Yeah, I didn't understand the whole lock-on idea either. I had no idea what it was, because you don't have internet back then. Like, nobody... I mean, it was around, but I didn't know what it was. But I bought it anyway because it said Sonic on it, and that game's awesome. And the second game, which I'm so glad I bought when I did, because it's just getting more and more expensive to find, is Gunstar Heroes.
Ooh, yeah.
And I bought that because... my friend Joel from school had it, and he let me borrow it to play my sister's Sega, and it was just unbelievable. And actually, my sister and I kind of did that a lot. When I got a 64, she got a PlayStation. So again, I got to play both, and I didn't really see one was better than the other. Of course, I preferred the 64 because it was mine. But, and she still did that thing where, if she was gone, I couldn't play it, and it would just sit in her room. It was terrible.
So then you'd be mostly playing your stuff.
Exactly. So, of course, I'm more partial to 64, but... Yeah, it was always Christmases. Christmases were always exciting for me, because I always got either games or systems, and it's always great. But those were the ones that I really do remember. So, hopefully this Christmas will be just as... memorable.
Getting a Wii U?
No. I was thinking about the Wii U, and it's really not that bad priced.
No.
For what it is. I mean, it's priced pretty much what an Xbox is set at. Because if you take into account you buy the Xbox 4 gig for $200, then you throw a $100 hard drive in it because you have to play a lot of the games. It's really not that bad priced, so I'll get one. It's gonna be a while. Because I didn't start saving for one because it took forever for them to say a price on that.
Wasn't it like a month before it was actually coming out before they set a price?
Yeah, so usually what'll happen is they'll announce the system, announce the price, and I'll start saving for it. And that's what I did with the 3DS. That's what I did with a lot of different systems. The PS3 I kind of bought just because I wanted something to stream Netflix without having to pay for Xbox Live. But, you know the price. Where the Wii U is like, they didn't tell you till a month beforehand or something, and then they had the two different SKUs. They had the black one and the white one. You can't find the black one anywhere, and it's like, I want the black one. I'm not going to settle for the white one if the black one's so much better. But yeah, I'll get one because I love Nintendo, and I love, Metroid is my favorite game series of all time. So I want to see what they'll do with that series on that console, and I hope to God they have an F-Zero game on there.
Yeah, they've been kind of missing out on the whole F-Zero franchise, with the last one being on the GameCube.
Yeah, they had like a couple on Game Boy Advance, they had F-Zero X on GameCube, and then the Wii, there's just nothing. And you would think with all the kind of driving game things you could do with the gyroscope, you would at least try an F-Zero game on there. I mean, you can pull off speed, if that's the problem, because the GameCube version is stupid fast.
Yeah. So fast to where you lose control constantly.
Yeah, where you just careen off a mountain and just explode. But yeah, I don't know, the Wii U. I'm going to get one mainly because, like I said, I'm a fan of Nintendo and all their franchises, and I want to play the new Zelda, I want to play the new Metroid, I want to play the new Mario, I want to play new everything. And it's finally in HD, and it's backwards compatible with all my Wii stuff, and I love the Wii, so why not? But it's going to be a while.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be participating in this console generation, even with the Wii, just because I've pretty much moved away from the whole console thing, with me pretty much moving solely onto PC gaming, thanks to this beauty right here in front of me. But
yes.
Yeah, actually, I don't even know if I'm gonna be with consoles anymore, to be honest. Just because...
Well, I mean, you've never really been heavy into consoles anyway, from what I understand.
Well, I stopped being heavy into consoles pretty much for this generation, because the only console I have this generation is the Wii, and that's it. I don't know. I've always been a PC gamer. I've always been playing games on a computer. It's just I've never really had a computer that could really, push the performance of some games. And once I finally got this, I was just like, well, hell, now I have the convenience of just being on my PC. So why don't I just go and do that?
And with Steam being stupid cheap
and with
Steam
and all of their dang sales, frickin' emptying my wallet all the time. But yeah, with Steam and their sales and just practically the general, I would just say how easy it is to get PC games with good old gaming for old games, and Steam for the new and old. I prefer getting new games off of Steam because the old ones, they don't really support that well. But I've kind of just stopped caring about consoles, honestly.
Especially since a large majority of games are multi-platform to PC as well.
Mm-hmm.
So unless it's a console exclusive, more than likely it'll show up on PC at some point.
I mean, granted, yes, there are a couple of console games that I regret that I'll probably never play, but I kind of get.
That's what I'm here for.
I kind of get over it fast, and plus, if I really, really, really need to play it, I'm pretty sure Marauder will have it. So.
Yeah, that's really the only thing that keeps me going with the consoles is, yeah, I'm a lot more PC focused now than I was. I still play a large amount of console stuff, but it's mostly the exclusive stuff that's on either console. So, you know, like my PS3 collection is all exclusive games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy any multiplats on the PS3, and not because I don't like them on the PS3, just because I have an Xbox, I have a PC. Like, if I want them multi-platform, I'll get them on either one of those. Same thing, but we'll get to that when we talk about games we've been playing.
Yeah.
You know, so unless it's a Xbox exclusive, or if I can get it really cheap on Xbox, like if I walk into a store and they have it really stupid cheap, like Never Dead, I think I bought for like $10.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll pick it up on console. Otherwise, I end up getting it on PC. So it's not that I'm entirely on PC now. It's just that I'm kind of in the same boat you were, where every single PC I ever built or bought was never a gaming rig of any sort. And so I would just play what I could. I mean, I remember when you gave me the original Fear game on PC, and I was running that on my PC at the time. Everything was off or down or low, and it ran fairly well, actually, but it looked like crap. But I still really liked it. Or you know, even worse, running Minecraft.
Right.
On my old Toshiba. I remember you looked over at me playing it and you go, I didn't even know it could look like that. What is that? Why are there lines around the pixels?
How come you can't see more than 5 feet in front of your face?
Yeah,
because you had the render distance set to so low.
Yeah, it was like playing in Silent Hill. It was ridiculous. But I played it, damn it, and I liked it. But I remember when I first got my PC, that was the first thing I did, was I booted up Minecraft and just marveled at how far I could see.
Yes, I remember that.
That was fun. Alright, so anyway, let's move on to our last segment, which is games we've been playing, where of course we talk about games we've been playing. And so once again, I'll let Phoenix93 take off on this one.
Well, thanks to finals being this week and kind of sort of last week, I really didn't have a lot of time recently to be playing games, although whenever I did find time, I would be playing Saints Row the Third, because I just...
That was fun.
I picked up the complete package on Steam for like $12, and I know some people say that it's not as good as the second one, but I don't care. I'm still having a blast with it, even though I beat the game. I still keep coming back to it just because it's so much fun. And now, since Marauder has it finally installed, me and him could go through co-op on it. So I can look forward to that, as well as one of my other friends has it too, and I played a bit of that with him earlier today. But yeah, no, that was just stupid fun. I don't know what it is, but I guess it's just the over-the-topness of everything within that game.
It's everything you wanted. It's everything I wanted in a Grand Theft Auto style game. Finally, like just the ability to. It has better controls for one than any of the other Grand Theft Autos I've played. Granted, I haven't played 4, but
4 is just kind of meh for me.
Yeah, like it's the ultimate sandbox game in my opinion. Just I want to take this car, I want to drive over here, and I get out, and I want to beat this guy with a giant baseball bat, and then I want to get back in the car and drive over here.
So do you? I know that you probably don't have this because you don't have all the DLC, but one of my favorite weapons in the game is the mind control octopus launcher.
No, I don't have that.
Basically, what happens is that you have this colorful pink bazooka that shoots off octopuses. Octopi, whatever. Well, basically, whatever enemy they hit, they take control of, and then that enemy just basically starts shooting everything else, which it then eventually just explodes after, I think, a minute, which I just find so fun. Especially, I got all of the military stuff, like the VTOL and the tank, where, as I was talking with Marauder earlier, I was like, man, I'm having so much trouble on this frickin' side mission. I can't figure out how to do it because there's so many stupid... Oh, right, I have a tank. Let me go use that.
I watched you play it a bit at my house, and you're just like, oh, let me jump in this Harrier jet and just take off and start shooting stuff.
You're like, you found that? Where'd you find that? It was just laying around.
Yeah, it was just parked in a parking lot somewhere. I just decided to take it. Nobody seemed to mind.
Uh-huh. But
yeah, I did play that co-op with you. That was fun. I didn't realize how in depth the character creator was.
Yeah, I loaded up my character that I'd already made and stuff, and I just basically sat there for like 10 minutes waiting for him to finish.
No, it was longer
character.
than that. I'm sitting there going, well, because you can mess with everything, like the size of their pupils, the distance between their eyeballs, like. Mm-hmm. You can change like the bridge of their nose. You can change like it was ridiculous. And eventually, I was like, "Fine, I'll just go with what I have." And it turned out I had the wrong voice on the character, and so we had to do a mission so I could go back and go to the plastic surgeon and fix the voice because it was annoying me. But no, that was fun.
All right, and right, another game that I've probably been saying I've been playing a lot in these past ones is Payday the Heist. Thanks a lot to that stupid secret ARG that they were running this month. Oh,
which just stopped.
Yeah, it luckily just stopped today. But no, for those who don't know, there was a secret hidden vault within the game that where you had to decipher codes and sound spectrums just to figure out how to do it, and once finally someone did, then the developers gave everyone practically a month to complete it to get invited to this special group to where you get secret masks, which were exclusive only if you get into the group and you got the special achievement, whatever, and I'm like, oh damn, I have to get that. The problem is, though, is that the drill you use to open up the shutter is 2 hours long. And this is 2 real hours. To where
7,200 seconds, counting down in real time.
So, and it was just a pain. I've done that whole 2 hours thing. Like, well, I've done it like a lot, but the times where I've actually gone the entire 2 hours and failed was like 6 or 7 times. On top of the 2 successful runs that I did with a group of friends, and then I did later with Marauder, you know, I was just out of it. I'm done. I'm not playing Payday for a while. But
I kind of had the same feeling the minute we beat the minute I got the mask and got the secret and everything. I was like, okay, I'm pretty much done with this for like a month.
But no, now they changed it to where the secret's still in there. The drill only lasts a half an hour instead of 2 hours. It's more doable. You don't need to be on any specific difficulty like like before. You had to be on the hardest difficulty, and you have to have gold masks. Which to do that, it's a whole another thing. And you know they kind of made it so where everyone can do it now, and I like it. I really like the fact that they left it in. Because then it's just something else you can do on top of everything else you can do in the game.
Yeah, why not? They took all that time to put it in there, might as well leave it.
Yeah. Well, there was initial talks of where they weren't going to keep it in there, but then I'm just like, that kind of sucks, because that was kind of fun in the one time that I did succeed at that time. But, then they finally said, yeah, we're keeping it in there, we're going to change a couple things. I'm like, yes! Awesome. Okay, and let's see. Oh yeah, also there was a special sale for Steam's Big Picture with a bunch of controller games, and Orcs Must Die 2 was another one. I played Orcs Must Die. It's basically, I guess you could kind of correlate it to tower defense, but you're running around in third person using weapons against them as well as laying traps down and stuff to basically kill or damage the orcs as they're coming. And I got Orcs Must Die 2 because it has cooperative gameplay into it where you can play all of the regular levels in it, I believe, in co-op with a friend. I'm just like, well, hell yeah, why not? I love playing co-op games. And I played through like 2 or 3 missions on that. Yeah, I like it. I can't wait to dig into it more now that I'm done with the finals, thank God. But, yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing, other than I grabbed a couple more games off of Good Old Games because they're having their Christmas sale now, but haven't really dove into those yet. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing recently.
Cool. Awesome. Alright, well, yeah, I played most of the same you have played. Payday the Heist, of course, is a... I had the same thing where we beat the secret, you and I, and two other guys, and then I just was done with it for a really long time.
Yep.
I tried to help two other friends get gold masks and attempt the secret as well, but we just couldn't beat Greenbridge no matter how hard we tried, so we just decided to forget about it, and by then the deadline was passed, so
yeah,
no big deal. But yeah, playing some Payday, loving Payday, still love Payday. I don't know. I've said enough positive things about this game. I swear. It's just unbelievably fun every single time that I play it. Let's see.
Just something about it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's really weird. Like it's glitchy. It's not the prettiest looking game. It has a whole bunch of problems. But I don't know. I just really enjoy it. And there's only even with the DLC, there's only 9 or 10 maps.
9 maps, yeah.
Yeah, 9 maps. And I've played them all hundreds of times by now. I don't understand it. But no, it's a fun game, great game. Saints Row the Third, you brought that up as well. I did play that, which was far better than what I thought it would be. I was kind of leery about playing it because I'm not really that big of a fan of open world games. There are a couple that I like, but not too many.
Yeah.
And I was kind of thinking that would fall into the not like category until you mentioned there was co-op. So, yeah, that was fun. That was a blast. And I don't ever want to play it without a second person.
Just because I don't blame you.
Just because it is so much fun. I don't think I'd have that much fun alone. Because when you've got your best friend next to you with an AK-47 taking down police officers, it's just so much fun in both Payday and Saints Row the Third. Let's see, what else have I been playing? Oh, I played a bit of Akai Katana on Xbox. It's a bullet hell style shooter. It's okay. I'm not a huge fan of the game, but for some reason I was drawn to pick this up, mainly because it was $8 at GameStop. And yeah, really enjoying. I really liked it. It reminds me a lot of Death Smiles or Ikaruga kind of thing. Not that it has the swapping color mechanic or anything like Ikaruga does, but just that same kind of speed to it and difficulty curve. Yeah, I really haven't been playing too much else, just because I've been really busy working, and Christmas is right around the corner, so whenever you work retail it ends up being very hectic. But I have been able to play two other games I'll bring up. One is Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed, which is of course the sequel to Sonic All-Stars Racing, which is one of my favorite games, period. And of course the sequel comes out, have to pick it up. There's a couple things that annoy me about it. On the positive side, the tracks are really good in this game, and the ability to swap between a boat and a plane and a car is all really well handled and a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's something that I would like to chime in about the tracks, is that they're instead of them just being tracks, like in the first game, they're more dynamic. They change as you're racing.
Right.
And,
so for example,
it just makes the game play that more interesting, because yeah, sure, it might be your 50th time playing that track, but still it changed. It's not the exact same track all 3 laps. It's different.
I've read reviews where some people say that defeats the purpose of getting good at a particular track. Like if you go around once and you're really bad at it, the second time you can go better, but because they changed the track, you can't have that anymore. But I'm like, but then you just have to go, okay, I'm on lap 2. This is going to happen now. This bridge is going to explode. So I just have to be ready to turn into my airplane. And they give you fair warning when you're going to transform.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Vehicles.
Don't they show, like, this gigantic frickin' circle that you have to drive through?
Yeah, they have this giant blue ring, and if you go through it, you transform into whatever the applicable vehicle is. So, really cool. Like I said, the tracks are amazing. Some of the best racing tracks, though, the Afterburner track.
Oh, yeah.
Is incredible and a lot of fun. There's a Shinobi track that I really like. There's a Skies of Arcadia track, which is pretty cool because they have like this big battleship that's just blowing up the island as you're driving around it. So every lap, like, things will explode and be destroyed. Really, loads of fun. On the negative side, a couple of the characters that from the first game were removed. So you can't play as Ryo Hazuki from Shenmue. You can't play as the Choo Choos from Choo Choo Rocket. You can't play as, I can't remember their names, but the two little guys from Bonanza Brothers.
Oh, really? I like them.
Yeah, I know. I like them too, and they're not in it. The two zombies from House of the Dead aren't in there. In fact, I have not come across a House of the Dead map yet either. Which, there might be one hidden in there somewhere because I haven't unlocked all the tracks yet. But, really weird. But on the positive side, they did add in a couple other characters like
Vice.
I can't remember.
Vice.
Oh, yeah. Vice from Skies of Arcadia is in it. Galea's Thunderhead from Golden Axe is in it. Knights from Nights into Dreams is actually a playable character now. And the flag waver has actually been replaced with Rystar, which I thought was kind of cool. And there was another guy in there that I really liked, but I can't remember his name all of a sudden. But whoever the Shinobi guy is, I forget his name. Joe Musashi. Joe Musashi from Shinobi is in it, which is cool. But again, on the one thing that bothers me is when I bought it, it came with a little code to unlock not Shadow the Hedgehog, Metal Sonic, and also the Outrun track. And when I put in the code to download the content, it only downloaded 108 kilobytes, which makes me think that that kind of content is already on the disc. Now, I haven't been able to find any proof of this through Googling, but if that's the case, that's very underhanded, and I don't really like that at all. So...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with your position on that.
Yeah, on-disc DLC is terrible, and I don't support it, and I was really shocked to see if it's true, because they might just be unlocking the character early, so that you don't have to earn him later. But, like I said, if it is on-disc DLC, that's terrible. But overall, it's still a really good game. I prefer the first one over Transformed, but it is still a really, really fun game.
Just because you can play as Ryo.
Yeah, they took away my favorite character. Well, that and the items. They changed all the items.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is a little weird. Like, instead of having a boxing glove, they have a little firework. Instead of having Sonic's shoe to go faster, they have a little dash arrow. Just really generic power-ups that you can't really tell where they come from. That's part of the fun, is seeing, like, oh, hey, that's from Sonic, or that's from Shenmue, or that's from, like Mario Kart. They have items that are from the games. Turtle shells and mushrooms and bananas and things like that make sense within that particular universe. And here it's all just really generic power-ups, which is a little disappointing. But it's all still a lot of fun, and having a lot of fun with that. The last game that... Well, actually, two more games. One is Mortal Kombat on the PlayStation Vita. I actually bought a Vita game, which...
Oh my god.
I know. I should give myself a pat on the back. It was stupid cheap on Black Friday, and I just happened to be working on Black Friday and went back to the electronics department in my store and picked it up. It's good. I really, really like the D-pad on the Vita for fighting games, and this proves just how great it is for fighting games. I never had any difficulty pulling off any of the moves. All the characters are there, all the moves are there, all the stages are there, everything is there from the console version, and it looks amazing. The textures could be a little bit better, but everything runs really smoothly, so I don't really have any complaints. So Mortal Kombat on the Vita, yay, good for you. You actually got a Vita game out there that's good. And the last game is I bought for my PS3, which is Bleach Soul Resurrection. Or Soul Resurrection, because there's two C's in the title for some reason. It's based on the Bleach anime, or manga, or whatever. And I'm a fan of that series, and it's PS3 exclusive, so I figured I'd pick it up, and I didn't pay too much for it. It's essentially a Dynasty Warriors clone, except with Bleach characters. And I expected that going in, because I watched gameplay of it before I bought it, and it looked fun, and yeah, it's a blast. I actually played through the whole story in the last 2 days, and there's just a whole ton of content. There's probably like 50 different missions, and there's 18 different characters you can pick from, and there's all this leveling up and power-ups you can do, and it's kind of addicting, like the same way Dynasty Warriors could be fun, you know. Really simple movesets, but just loads of fun to just plow through hundreds of guys.
See, game developers, you can make an anime/manga game into something other than a fighter.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I also bought Bleach Shattered Blade, or whatever it was, on the Wii. And it's a fighting game, which, it's a pretty mediocre fighting game. But, actually, I think I have all the Bleach games. Yeah, because I have both of the fighting games on DS, which were both pretty good. They were done by Treasure, so...
Did you get the Tactics game on DS?
Yes, I have the Tactics game. I forget what it's called, like Third Phantom or something like that.
Yeah.
I bought that as well. That's okay. The enemy artificial intelligence is sometimes really hard to decipher why they do what they do. But
it's a feature.
No. Yeah, no, but it's still fun. One thing about the game on PS3 that I don't really care for is it's really linear. Like the levels are broken up into different areas, but most of the areas are just hallways, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, whereas Dynasty Warriors is this giant open battlefield, Bleach is more straightforward, and generally you get to the end of the level, you fight a boss, and the level's over. So, you know, it's not great, but it's fun. I can't argue that it's not fun, because it is a lot of fun. And it's quite addicting. Oh, and another thing is, it doesn't really explain anything about Bleach. It's definitely a game for the fans. Like, the story mode really isn't much of a story mode. They don't explain why you're fighting, who you're fighting, or what's really going on. They just kind of jump from one fight to the next, and they're like, you know, they give you a little setup, but if you don't know the manga or the anime, you're going to be completely lost as to why you should care about these characters. But no, still, I really like it. I don't know. I have fun with it. Just like somebody would have fun with Dynasty Warriors, you know, same kind of feeling. So if you like Dynasty Warriors and you're a fan of that, try it out. And I think that's about all I've been playing. Not too much, just a couple. I want to be more focused on what I play. I bought a lot of games recently. But
Yeah, for right now I'm pretty much going to be focusing on Tales of the Abyss for 3DS, because I really need to dig in and beat that game.
Yeah, I want to get into Persona 4, because I got that for the Vita as well, but I have not played it at all yet.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because my friend, or Alex, he said that the game takes a couple hours to actually get going. So, which is one thing I don't like about RPGs, is that sometimes they just take forever to get going. But he says it's well worth it if I can stomach the first couple hours. So I want to be able to actually do it. you know, like sit down and get through it, but I won't be able to do that till at least after Christmas. So, yep, that's everything. Anything else you want to talk about?
Nope, I believe I'm just set here.
Alright, cool. Well, then that would end this episode of Welcome to Bonus Stage. As always, hope you guys had fun. Hope you guys, I don't know, learned something. Or at least got a little bit more insight into our past, our deep, dark, seedy past. But yeah, again, if you guys want to leave us any questions that we can answer on the podcast, go ahead and leave them in the comment section of this video feed, or you can go to the oceanofbees.com forum and leave them in the corresponding link on that forum. Nobody's really asking any questions right now, so we will get to them if any of them are asked. Okay, but other than that, I hope you guys all have a great holiday. Hope you guys are all safe and that you have fun.
Merry Christmas. Not doing that holiday bullcrap. It's Christmas,
Oh,
Christmas,
yes.
Christmas, Christmas, Christmas.
Yes. Merry Christmas. And we will see you guys on the next bonus stage.
Catch you later.